Immunity Project, and we are live on 3 platforms. We are live on Zoom, Facebook, and YouTube on Dr. Alim Muhammad's YouTube channel. Please be sure to like and subscribe and share. We will begin this evening's broadcast with prayer. Following prayer, Dr. Alim will present this evening's presentation. Attention, prayer. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of the day of requital. Thee do we serve, and thee do we beseech for help. Guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, not those upon whom wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray. I mean,
Ameen. Ameen. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome, welcome, welcome. This is the Your Immunity Project. I'm your host, Dr. Alim, assisted by Sister Cheryl Lewis. So welcome once again. This is where it all happens. This is sometimes called the Survival Show, Part 1, and then the Survival Show, Part 2. That takes place on Wednesday evenings, and that's called the 19th Element. So welcome, you're in the right place. This is where it all happens. This is where we tell it like it TI is. Now, the difference between the two is we try to focus on public health issues like COVID-19, the vaccines, the mandates, and all the rest of that, and all of the other biological threats that may be against your or my survival. And then on the 19th Element, we deal with geopolitical issues, war and peace issues, strategic issues. And so you don't want to miss tonight's program, and you don't want to miss the program tomorrow night, because the world is on the brink of disaster, as you can see. It's on everybody's mind. What's getting ready to happen next? In other words, not something good. We expect something bad to happen next. And in fact, we expect the worst that is yet to come. So welcome once again. This is the Your Immunity Project. We operate, of course, by our 5 basic principles, and they become more and more relevant as time goes on. The first principle, of course, is prevention. Prevention is number 1 because it's the most important. And if you get that one right, maybe you don't have to worry about the other 4. But prevention requires foresight. And that's why it's important for you, as a part of your survival plan, to tune in each and every week and share with others the Your Immunity Project broadcast. Because this is where you get the foresight. This is where you find out what the trends are. And you can look ahead and see where the trends are headed. And if it's something that you don't like, about what's about ready to come down, then you have time to take measures to protect yourself. And so prevention is number 1, and it gives you what is called in the military situational awareness. Situational awareness, meaning that you are aware of every possible threat against your survival. And that's what we try to impart to you, situational awareness. From every dimension, not just one-dimensional threats, but omnidimensional, omnidirectional threats have to be addressed because they seem to be everywhere, and they seem to be multiplying, and seem to be intensifying and reinforcing one another. And so this is where it all happens, where we try to tell you what the upcoming trends may be that will affect your and my survival. Then our second principle, of course, is diagnosis. Because something goes wrong, something has gone wrong. Prevention wasn't enough, it didn't work. So you need to know what did go wrong. And that requires a diagnosis, not just a complaint, but an actual accurate diagnosis, a functional, physiologic diagnosis that is organ specific. That lets you know what's going wrong. And then once you have that kind of detailed functional diagnosis, then that can lead to a proper treatment. So a misdiagnosis automatically leads to mistreatment. And billions upon billions of people on planet Earth have been misdiagnosed through the misuse of the PCR test. They've been misdiagnosed with something that they didn't have or probably didn't have. And that coerced them into getting a vaccine that they did not need. That's the mistreatment. And now they really do have something because they got that shot that was forced upon them by government mandates um, under the first Trump administration, and then followed up by the Biden administration. And so the ongoing saga that makes the Your Immunity Project program necessary are the consequences of all of what we just said. The misdiagnosis and the mistreatment of billions of people on our planet, including people that you know, including hundreds of millions of Americans inside the boundaries of the United States of America. And so to help remedy that, we're developing a virtual platform to deliver some modicum of health care. Because in this day and time, after all that has already happened, who can you trust? What doctor can you go to with trust? What hospital, what clinic? They've all been paid off. They've all been bribed. We showed a headline last week. The average pediatrician was making over $1 million a year just by making sure that all of his patients or her patients were fully vaccinated with the COVID-19 shot. $1 million a year. The American College of Pediatricians completely bought off. And so we have to think independently. So we have to build a virtual platform that is able to produce an accurate, acceptable diagnosis that can lead to acceptable, effective, safe treatment. Now, of course, the fourth principle is research, because there's always unanswered questions. There's always something that comes up that nobody has the answer to. And then you have to go to work and do your own research. And the Your Immunity Project has done 2 full clinical trials in the early days of COVID-19. Now we have a stress survey, kind of a research tool, that's going to be on the website, dralim.com. And you'll be able to use that as a research tool for yourself, for your own benefit, because you'll be able to compute your stress score and find out where you are. You know, you see people blowing the top every day. Could that be you? Well, you can find out by just doing the stress survey and keep yourself safe because you may need to do something to ensure that you don't blow your top like you see so many doing. And then what's the 5th principle? After research, we have education. And that's what these broadcasts are really meant to be, educational experiences that give you factual information, not disinformation, not hearsay information, you know, but direct, probably referenced information that is verifiable, that's reliable, that you can count on, that you can go on. And so that's what we try to do each and every week, but we've been doing this almost 5 years, almost 6 years. This is the 5th year, and May, I believe, will be the 6th year of the Your Immunity Project. So welcome once again. This is where it all happens. Please don't forget to share and subscribe. And invite all your friends and family to be with these broadcasts. They need to know what you need to know. So let's go to our first images, Sister Cheryl. And last week, I think one of the headlines that we dealt with was the bitter cold that was going to hit parts of America. And I think one of the headlines showed that there were millions of Americans that were in the cold, that were in the dark because of power failures due to the snow and the ice in unprecedented amounts. And wouldn't you know it, within a few days, I found myself in that exact situation. And so I had to be paying attention to myself. The survival show, Plan on Survival. So did I have a plan for if the lights went out? If my furnace failed? Yes, I did. And so I was snug as a bug in a rug. The house was cold, but I wasn't. So I had a plan because I anticipated that sooner or later, something's going to happen to the power grid. Something's going to happen to the furnace. Something's going to happen to something, and it's going to affect me in a negative way. And if I can anticipate what that untoward event is going to be, then I can come up with a plan. So I had a plan, and I'll tell you about it in a few more minutes. But you should have a plan too, not just for a cold event or a weather event or a flood or a catastrophe, but don't you see what's on the horizon? Don't you see that they are plotting thermonuclear war? Don't you see martial law? Don't you see civil disobedience? Don't you see civil chaos? Don't you see famine on the horizon? Don't you see economic collapse? Don't you see all kinds of threats against normal life, normal survival? Don't you see that? If you don't see it, you just haven't been paying attention. And so, based on what you see, and we try to help you to see with these broadcasts, what the actual threats may be. So then that gives you the opportunity to plan on how you're going to handle whatever that threat might be. The race is not to the swift nor the strong, but to those who endure to the end. Well, how can you endure to the end without a plan to endure to the end? Plan is a noun and a verb, so a plan should be written down in a book. Ink on paper survives longer and better than anything on a computer or other electronic device. Plan is also a verb, which means it's an action word. So what did you do today? What action did you take today in the direction of your survival, in the survival of your family and loved ones? You know, each and every day is a matter of survival. You have to survive till tomorrow. So suppose something happens today to threaten your survival. What's your plan to handle that? And what are you doing on a consistent basis to guarantee your right to life? You have a right to life, but your guarantee is your immunity project plans. And I keep saying that project should be made plural. How many projects do you have? Do you have a plan to keep food in your mouth? Do you have a plan to keep warm? Do you have a plan to generate light and heat? Do you have a plan to educate your children? Do you have a plan to take care of your health care needs? What plan do you have? What plan do you have to protect your wealth? What plan do you have to protect your physical security? Because things are getting chaotic. People are getting out of control. People are getting desperate. Are you desperate? Don't wait till you are desperate before you start planning. Next image, please, because that would be a plan of desperation. So there I am. That was me on Sunday. No, I think it was yesterday. Yeah, on the prayer and fasting question and answers. At that time, my house inside temperature was about 40 degrees. Yeah, yeah. But I was snug as a bug. That's really a ski outfit I had on. See, I don't go skiing, but that doesn't mean I can't have a ski outfit. They make those ski outfits warm for a reason. They up there on those alpine mountains. Hey, they don't get cold. So there I was in my house. I didn't get cold either. So now a few tips. The fabrics that you should wear that are the best at keeping you warm. Number one, of course, is wool. You can forget all about these synthetic fabrics for the most part. All that fleece and stuff, that doesn't keep you warm. So the gold standard fabric for warmth is good old-fashioned wool. Wool comes in all kinds of grades and weights, but it will keep you warm. And it will keep you warm even if it's wet, which you can't say for any other fabric, except perhaps the second best fabric for keeping you warm is silk. So wool is number one, silk is number two. Silk also comes in all kinds of grades. You know, heavy grade silk is super warm. The jacket that I had on Sunday for prayer and fasting, that was a silk jacket. That was a silk jacket. That was silk kente cloth from Ghana. Silk kente cloth from Ghana. Being worn in North America, keeping somebody warm. So wool and silk are the best fabrics to keep you warm. Cotton is cold, linen is cold. Most all of the synthetic fabrics are cold. They're cold. They don't keep you warm. Most of them actually make you cold. So stick with wool and silk mostly. Now you can quilt cotton and make it a little warmer than usual, but silk and silk and wool are your go-to fabrics. So between a wool blanket and silk Long johns. Hey, I was warm as a bug in a rug. Next image, please. Now, one secret. Now this is synthetic. You better believe it. Mylar. This is a space age material. It's called Mylar, and they make it into what they call rescue blankets. And I had a couple of these as a part of my survival kit. I knew one day I was going to be faced with a cold emergency. So the only thing I had to do was locate, where's my Mylar blanket? And so just with the Mylar blanket, you just throw that over top of you, uh, and it traps all of the heat from your body, and so you just throw it over top of you, and nothing can touch you. It's windproof, waterproof, and you can see through it. So you can throw it over your head. You don't have to even have your eyes out because you can see through it. I don't have an image of it out of the package, but you ought to have that. It's very inexpensive. So load up on Mylar blankets. You can actually make it into like a tent. You can make it into like a tent that would trap heat in a larger area. If you had 2 or 3 of these that you tape together, yeah, you could make an indoor tent to trap heat in a one room in your house. Say if you lost heat in your house, okay, maybe you could turn one room into your heat room, and you could use Mylar in many different ways to conserve every calorie of heat that's in that room. Next image, please. It may come to that. Go to the next one, please, and then we might come back. Yeah, unprecedented persistence of vaccine modified RNA, plasmid DNA, spike protein, and genomic dysregulation over 3.5 years after the COVID-19 vaccination. So now this is a major comprehensive study just published that shows what the headline just announced, that 3.5 years after, you remember all the lockdowns, the mandates, the jab or your job, you got 227 million Americans to receive this shot. And now 3.5 years later, the research shows that all of the negative factors that are in the shot persist. Remember the lie they told you? They said that the shot would dissipate within hours and wouldn't migrate past the injection site. Well, 3.5 years later, we find out it's in the brain, it's in the heart, it's in the lungs, it's in the gastrointestinal tract. We're talking about the spike protein. We're talking about SV40. We're talking about inflammation. We're talking about prions. We're talking about attacks on your mitochondria, which cause an energy failure in the body. Just like I had an energy failure in my house and got cold. What happens when you have an energy emergency in the body? Because your mitochondria have become inflamed due to this shot. And those are the powerhouses of the cells of your body. And people, they experience chronic fatigue. So again, you can take a screenshot of this and study it on your own, especially if you're someone who knows that you did get the shot. And of course, if you got the boosters in addition, then the situation is even more dire. So take a screenshot if you can to preserve this information. Next image, please. Now, 30 years ago, HIV was all the news, not COVID-19. But really, HIV never went away. There's probably 100 million people who die every year from HIV, even though it doesn't make the headlines. Now there's a resurgence of HIV, and guess where it's coming from? From the tropical paradise island of Fiji. You thought I was going to say Epstein Island. No, Fiji, out in the middle of the Pacific. And they had 1,500 new HIV cases in 2024, 1,200 cases in the first 6 months of 2025. You see, so this is a popular place for people to gather on honeymoons and other rendezvous. And what they're finding out is it's associated with drug abuse. That what people are doing in Fiji is, they say, using contaminated syringes. Well, it's worse than that. They wait till somebody gets intoxicated with methamphetamine, then they draw that person's blood and inject that blood into themselves. Well, that's a good way to spread HIV. Next image, please. So they're calling it the Bluetooth trend. Next image, please. CDC official quietly admits that the MMR vaccine, measles, mumps, and rubella, that's what that stands for, measles, mumps, and rubella, vaccine doesn't guarantee protection against measles. In other words, he's saying the vaccine doesn't work. That's what a vaccine is supposed to do. It's supposed to protect you against what you're being vaccinated against. Otherwise, but why are you being vaccinated? Now, there's another side to this whole issue concerning measles that I've touched on in the past. It might turn out that measles will end up being the great killer. In this depopulation agenda, everybody's focused on what? COVID-19 and other things, monkeypox. You hear about all these things. Here we just talked about HIV. But what the real killer may be, the mass killer on planet Earth, as a part of this depopulation agenda, may not be a gain-of-function virus out of some bio weapons laboratory. It may be the good old-fashioned measles. Measles has a history of depopulating large areas of the earth. When Christopher Columbus landed in Hispaniola, it is said that there were probably 15 million inhabitants of the Caribbean basin, the Arawak and what are the other ones? But anyhow, the indigenous people that lived there, 15 million. Within one generation, 15 million have been reduced down to 15,000. Who did the killing? The Spaniards and the Portuguese with swords? No. What did the killing was measles that they brought from Europe into the Western Hemisphere. And the people in the Western Hemisphere had no immunity to measles. They had never been exposed to it in childhood. Childhood exposure to measles builds up your immunity. Most children don't die from measles. Maybe 1% or less do. But the rest, they actually build up their natural immunity. Measles, mumps, chickenpox. Those common childhood diseases are essential to building strong, lifelong immunity to all kinds of things. So even though it's distressing to parents to have to deal with mumps, measles, and chickenpox, but yet if the child gets through it, hey, they're set for life. Now in the modern 20th century, of course, pediatrician says, no, let's give children a vaccine, the MMR vaccine. Let's save the parents the distress of seeing their child with the measles. And of course, prevent the unfortunate deaths that happen in a few. Except we're finding out that the vaccine doesn't actually do that. But what it does do, it denies the child that got the vaccine the ability to build natural, lifelong immunity to measles and many other things. So therefore, the generation of children, the last 2 or 3 generations in this country at least, all of whom got the MMR vaccine, they don't have natural immunity to measles anymore. They didn't get it when they were children. They were prevented from getting it. And so now if they encounter the wild measles virus, it doesn't have to be gain of function. It doesn't have to be a biological weapon. Just the wild, ordinary measles that's out there in the community since day one. If they encounter that, hey, it could be a fatal encounter. Adult measles is not the same as childhood measles. Most adults do not survive measles if they get measles in adulthood. So you have millions upon millions of people who got the measles vaccine in childhood, and now they're sitting ducks if they ever encounter the wild measles virus in the community. Next image, please. Now this is a tick, and of course there's a delicate way that you have to remove a tick if you ever get bitten by a tick. Otherwise you make matters worse. But did you know that ticks have been weaponized? Next image, please. This tick is a bioweapon. Former bioweapons contractor, quote, "We weaponize ticks to create a poor man's nuke." Yeah. They weaponize insects. Now, this is all about ticks, but of course, we've done stories in the past. Weaponized mosquitoes, released in Florida, released in Brazil, released in other parts of the world, spreading diseases like Zika. And now, here's a former bioweapons contractor saying, hey, we weaponize ticks in North America. So wherever you get a tick bite, hey, you have just been attacked by a biological weapon. And of course, that can have very, very severe negative consequences on your long-term health. Next image, please. Talk to somebody who's suffering from Lyme disease, and you'll see what I'm talking about. The Department of War awards a $19.95 million contract to Blue Halo for human biological modeling research. This is a company out of Dayton, Ohio. They're associated with the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. They say that's where the aliens are. That's where, was that Reagan that went out there to see the aliens? Wright-Patterson? Yeah. And so human biological modeling research. I'm not even sure I know what that means. I think what they're trying to do is is to put together a artificial intelligent version, a computerized version, a robotic version of a human being in all of their human physiologic, biological functions. I think that's what that means. They're trying to write a program as if, it would be like writing a program of what a human being would be like. If you could teach if you could teach artificial intelligence to create a human being, all of the parameters to make up a human being. I think that's what that means. Next image, please. But anyhow, they got the money. They got the money to do whatever it is they're going to do. See, a Las Vegas neighborhood rocked by suspected illegal biolab. Yeah, they arrested some guy out in Las Vegas. He was running a biological laboratory that making people deathly sick. So it was biological weapons being manufactured in a private home, an Airbnb in Las Vegas. Next image, please. So there he is. Zhu Jiabei. He was manufacturing some biological something in a house in Las Vegas and made all of his neighbors sick. Next image, please. They found a Chinese-run biological laboratory in California a couple years ago. Several fall deathly ill from suspected Las Vegas biolab. Could something like that be going on in your neighborhood too? Next image, please. I guess it doesn't take a lot of space to have a bioweapons lab. Now here's a Florida man, for some reason, he was found swimming with pigs. Don't ask me why, but he was down in the Bahamas on vacation, and I guess the fun thing to do was swim with some pigs in a pig pen or something like that. But anyhow, don't do that. Learn from his experience. He found out that if you swim with pigs, you're going to catch flesh-eating bacteria. Next image, please. So don't swim with pigs. Now here's something else that you shouldn't do. You shouldn't be eating ultra-processed food. You should be eating food that's not processed at all. Natural food in its natural state. You shouldn't be eating processed food. or otherwise known as food products. How can you tell if you're eating processed food or food products? Because they have a label. Anything that has a label is at least processed food. That's a food product. That's not food. Food doesn't have a label on it. Haven't you noticed? God never put a label on anything. So if you're looking at something that has a label on it, put it down. Somebody has processed something that God created and turned it into a food product, and it's no longer food. And then they took it a step further, and they ultra processed it. And they found out that they could produce the same effect that cigarettes have with ultra processed food. In other words, cigarettes were specifically designed to be addictive. You know, back in the 40s and 50s, they specifically designed these cigarettes, which ultra processed tobacco, all kinds of other added ingredients, specifically designed to be addictive, to create addicts. And so now ultra processed food manufacturers are using the same playbook. They're producing ultra processed foods that are addictive so that you keep coming back for more. You keep coming back for more. You just can't get enough of it. Can't get enough of it. Can't control your appetite. Next image, please. Ultra processed foods are defined by the NOVA food classification system as industrial formulations made entirely or mostly from substances extracted from foods like oils, fats, sugars, starch, and proteins, derived from food constituents, hydrogenated fats and modified starch, or synthesized in laboratories from food substrates or other organic substances like flavor enhancers, colors, and several food additives used to make the product hyper palatable. So you get addicted to it. Grocery stores are replete with ultra processed foods, which include store-bought biscuits, desserts, chocolates, candies, soda, and other carbonated soft drinks, prepackaged meat and vegetables, frozen pizzas, fish sticks and chicken nuggets, packaged breads and instant noodles, chocolate milk, breakfast cereals, and sweetened fruit juices. So again, those are all of the food products that you need to avoid because they have been specifically engineered. And you could even think of them as biological weapons in a sense. When you think about it, if it destroys your health over a long period of time, wouldn't that qualify as a biological weapon, ultra processed foods? So it's your choice. You don't actually have to take it. Next image. You could stick with real food. Now, the Department of Homeland Security is on a big campaign to recruit people to become ICE agents. They want you to join ICE. We need you to get them out. America has been invaded by criminals and predators. Oh, I guess that's who's on the Epstein list. All these illegal migrants, they're the names that are redacted on the Epstein list, right? Those are the predators. Oh, I get it now. America has been invaded by criminals, not the ones in the White House. America has been invaded by criminals and predators. And we need you to get them out. Join ICE.gov. Next image, please. Uncle Sam needs you. The U.S. government seems to have a clear message for white nationalists. Defend the homeland. Yeah, what's the homeland that needs to be defended? Yeah, rally around the flags. Let's defend the homeland. What's the homeland? Next image, please. This is Homeland Security. That was started after 9/11, wasn't it? That's what started taking all your rights away. Homeland Security, securing the homeland. Is this the homeland? The homeland includes Canada and Greenland? This is the homeland? Mexico? I know some years ago they were talking about the North American Union, that all this was going to become one unified country. And now Trump talking about Greenland's going to be the 51st state and Canada's going to be the 52nd state. I guess Mexico will be 53. Is that the way it's going to work? Next image, please. Is this the homeland that needs to be defended? Readiness Exercise 1984, or REX 84. It's going to wreck your life. FEMA's blueprint for martial law, the roadmap towards, excuse me, a police state America. And you can see that already, can't you? In Minneapolis, in Atlanta, right here in Washington, D.C., federal troops on the street, federal troops sent to Los Angeles. Has martial law been declared? Has America already become a police state? Next image, please. Are you going to join ICE to protect the homeland? The plan is called REX 84, short for Readiness Exercise 1984. Is that a reference to George Orwell's 1984, which was an actual police state? Have you seen the movie or read the book? Though REX 84, an undisclosed number of concentration through REX 84, an undisclosed number of concentration camps were set in operation throughout the United States for internment of dissidents and others potentially harmful to the state. Wait a minute. The REX 84 program was originally established on the reasoning that if a mass exodus of illegal aliens crossed the Mexican U.S. border, they would be quickly rounded up and detained in detention centers by FEMA. Really? Well, why didn't they round them up then? Next image, please. Since they came across the border, they were invited across the border. So they didn't round them up. They didn't put them in internment camps, but they still have the camps, REX 84 and FEMA. They are all staffed and even surrounded by full-time guards, but they are all empty. These camps are to be operated by FEMA should martial law need to be implemented in the United States. And all it would take is a presidential signature on a proclamation and the Attorney General's signature on a warrant to which a list of names is attached. You mean AutoPen could declare a state of emergency or martial law? And then all these FEMA camps would be activated, and people who would be considered to be dissidents could be rounded up. Next image, please. 800 camps, I think they said. Now, this is a big scandal. See, along with Jeffrey Epstein, sex scandals, sex trafficking, drug trafficking, money laundering, bribery, blackmail, all the rest of it. Organ trafficking goes along with all of that. He was into all of that. And now it seems that part of what is going on in Gaza and the West Bank, and the reason why they like to shoot children in the head is to harvest their organs. It's a big business. And they return bodies, in these body exchange things that they do in war. And so they're returning bodies with evidence of organ theft and severe mutilation because they're being tortured in Israeli prisons. Next image, please. Now that's Mike Huckabee. He's the U.S. ambassador to Israel. And then in the middle there, that's the Secretary of State and National Security Advisor, Marco Rubio. And they're standing next to, of course, Bibi Netanyahu himself, an indicted war criminal, probably the worst living human being on planet Earth at the present time. I mean, you name me somebody worse than him. And then they're standing right next to him as though they're in agreement with him, praying at the west wall, so they say. So again, you see that there is no difference between the foreign policy of the United States and the foreign policy of Israel. It's all about conquest. Trump says that the United States is going to focus on the Western Hemisphere. And what does that literally mean? It means they intend to conquer Canada, they intend to conquer Greenland. You see, they just took military action against Venezuela, threatened the same against Colombia and Panama, threatening all of South America, threatening Cuba. That Marco Rubio, the one in the middle, said he's going to be running Cuba soon. And so if America's foreign policy is to conquer the Western Hemisphere and run everything in the Western Hemisphere and deny sovereignty to anybody else in the Western Hemisphere, well, what's Israel's policy? It's the same thing in the Middle East. Conquest. Destroy your neighbors. Steal from them. Murder them. Subdue them. So it's the same unified policy of conquest for a greater Israel and a greater America. What does Trump want to do that's different than Bibi Netanyahu wants to do? They all want to expand their territory at the expense of others, no matter what the price in blood that must be paid. Next image, please. So now this is from the final call from some time back, where the Jewish chief rabbi in Israel says blacks are monkeys. Well, maybe that's where Trump got that from. Next image, please. Since he converted to Judaism in 2017. Now, Jack Ma, he was the billionaire from China. If you put bananas and money in front of monkeys, monkeys will choose bananas because monkeys do not know that money can buy a lot of bananas. That's true. In reality, if you put money and health in front of people, people tend to choose money because too many people do not know that health can bring more money and happiness. Next image, please. Yeah, it was the year of the monkey in China last year. It's the year of the horse this year. Yeah, I put this up. You know, who's the nigger in the White House that's doing all these terrible things? Must be a nigger in the White House. Put up a picture of the Obamas like monkeys, like they're monkeys, like chimpanzees. And so maybe Trump got that from the chief rabbi. Zionism used to be known as racism. That was the opinion of the United Nations. Zionism, you know, is racism. And then somehow they got that overturned. And overnight, Zionism is no longer racism, even though it is. Next image, please. So yeah, that was the picture that Trump put up. We had the Obamas in the jungle, looking like they're monkeys, except they just look like people dressed up in a fur coats to me. But the intention was, you know, to imply that somehow they are subhuman monkeys. Now, of course, that's what the war in Ukraine is all about. According to Andrei Beletsky of the Azov Battalion, that's what he said. He said that the war in Ukraine is the last rally of the white race against the subhumans. And of course, they define blacks as subhumans, Russians are subhumans. Everybody that's not like them are subhumans and have to be obliterated. And maybe that's connected to the depopulation agenda. If you're just a monkey, we can kill you. Like we kill monkeys in the laboratory all the time. Next image, please. So they deleted the post. But Trump says he will not apologize for sharing the since deleted racist video depicting Obamas as apes on Truth Social. He will not apologize. Next image, please. Now, what do you think the impact has been, you know, on those blacks who voted for Trump? I'm not one of them, by the way. I don't vote for none of them. I never voted for none of them. The only person I ever voted for president was Jesse Jackson. I never voted for none of them. Now this is what what's his name? Van Johnson? Van Jones. Yeah, Van Jones. He asked blacks who voted for Trump if they would vote for him again. Hey, they said absolutely yes. Absolutely yes. See? They don't have no sense. They don't learn. Next image, please. You say, how crazy can people get? They're that crazy? They can be that crazy. Look at this. This is from a military channel. China orders banks to dump U.S. treasuries and halt new purchases. Now think what that means. See, China has over $1 trillion of U.S. treasuries, and that's all going to hit the market in a flood. It's going to be a tsunami of dollars coming back to the United States, and that's going to create huge inflation. So the U.S. could now face higher borrowing costs and see its national debt increase further. Well, wait a minute. See, this is a little bit misleading. When Scott Bessent and Trump had to raise $3 trillion as of the day after Christmas, they couldn't do it because then nobody was buying the treasury bonds at that time. So it's not just going to face higher borrowing costs. You have to find somebody that's willing to lend you some money. And the only people willing to lend you some money have been China and Japan and Korea and the UK. And now all of them see what you have done to the Russian assets. They say, we're not going to keep our assets with you. You're a pirate. You're a thief. We don't trust you. So China's bailing out. And of course, that sinks the ship of state called America. The debt is already unpayable. Next image, please. So America's in big trouble. China just pushed the button. They also declared child molestation to be punishable by death. In other words, if they release something like this in China, they had something like Epstein going on in China, hey, they wouldn't just redact the names. They would redact the people. They put you up in front of a firing squad and get rid of you. China, they don't play with that. And the same in Russia. You molest a child in Russia, see what happens to you. You don't get redacted and protected. Next image, please. So a new comet is on the way. You know, we had 3-eye Atlas during the summer. And it's out there somewhere near Jupiter right now. People still don't know what 3-eye Atlas was. And now here comes another comet into view. And they say comets are portents of doom. Well, we shall see. Now, this is a painting of an old comet from centuries ago, but there's a new one that's on the way. Next image, please. And it's supposedly going to be bright enough by April to light up the entire sky in the daylight. I don't know. Now, how about this? Shake AI. Shake AI. They have a personal AI imam for you, a new software service where you can have your own personal sheikh to teach you Islam. You can't make this stuff up. Shake AI. Next image, please. You better watch yourself. These people are dangerous. These people are dangerous. Now here's a nun. She gives a grave warning regarding the depopulation agenda. Finally, somebody besides myself is willing to use that word, depopulation agenda. And it's a nun. And she's saying, and she's calling out the Pope too, as the spiritual leader of the evil globalists behind it all. She's saying that the Pope is behind the depopulation agenda. Wouldn't you know it? Next image, please. I think, now look at this. The same Trump in his first term that introduced at warp speed, remember the warp speed vaccine that he took credit for? Now look at what this man is doing now. He's introducing Trump RX, an online store with discounted weight loss and fertility drugs. And it's on TrumpRx.gov. This man put his private business on a government website. And he's selling 43 prescription drugs to the American people at a discount. Next image, please. Except, of course, Trump is always a liar. He always misrepresents the truth. I mean, to me, it's just, how corrupt could you get? You're the sitting president of the United States, then you're going to set up a business, you know, you're going to cut back Medicaid, Medicare, cut back on health insurance, make the premiums go sky high so people can't afford it, and then you're going to come in with a discount drug platform? How corrupt can you get? Except that you were lying about the whole thing, because the drugs that he's selling at one price, you can buy them cheaper than that at other places already. Next image, please. You know about a flim-flam man? Now, here's some good news. This was something that I've been working on for a little while. Of course, I wrote this book, A Short Manual on Deliberative Dialogue, in 2007. But it was never published. It was written for the purpose of the conference, the dialogue conference at the farm in 2007 concerning the 9 ministries. And since we were bringing in, 1,000 of the laborers from around the nation, they need to be taught the rules of dialogue so we could actually get something done. And so that was the purpose of writing the book in the first place. But now it's available since it's been announced that Savior's Day week this year is a whole week of activity, and it's all built around a national lawful deliberative dialogue. And so to make that go right, so people actually understand how to conduct a deliberative dialogue, the book has been published. Now, I checked earlier today, it wasn't quite ready. We published it on Sunday, and as you can see in the notice here, it says it may take up to 72 hours. So we're at 48 hours right now, and last I checked earlier today, it wasn't up. So inshallah, by tomorrow, you should be able to go to Amazon and just put in the title of the book or my name, and it should come up, and it's priced very reasonably, so that wouldn't be a barrier for anybody. And inshallah, within another week or so, as part 2, we want to publish the Commissioner's Workbook, which goes along with the Deliberative Dialogue book. So look for that in the coming week. Next image, please. Now, in the name of doing something for ourselves, the Abundant Life Healthcare Plan is being announced. So Abundant Life was the name of my practice since 1986 in Washington, D.C. And then, of course, we took it on the road all over the country, literally all over the world, over the years. And then because of the COVID lockdown and other factors, I shut my practice down. Now I'm reopening it on a virtual platform. And so Abundant Life, the Health Attainment Center, is going to be doing business now as dralim.com. So we're working as hard as we can on the website. But because of some of the novel features, it's a little bit difficult to produce what I'm asking them to produce. So it's taking longer than you might normally think. Next image, please. But inshallah, we're close to having it done. So the Abundant Life Healthcare Plan that you may wish to take advantage of consists of 9 steps that generally could be completed in about a year. So the average person, starting from where the average person is, you could probably finish these 9 steps in about a year or a little more. Now, some people who are starting better off, it wouldn't take you a year. And then at the end of that 9 steps, you would actually have achieved, pretty much all of your health goals and more besides that. And you would find yourself physiologically younger, which means that you have an extension in your lifespan. And so you want to take advantage of it as soon as it becomes available. I'm just talking about it now. Once the website is up and functioning, then you will be able to sign up for it. You probably would be. This may need to be changed, but we're trying to price it at about $99 a month, and then there would be family rates for families, and even organizational rates. And so we're working on the details. So as soon as we're ready to announce that and launch it, we'll let you know. Next image, or was that the last one? I think that may be the last one. Was there one more? No. Okay, that was it. All right, so that's our program for this evening. And I hope you got something that was valuable to your survival. We don't do these programs for entertainment. They may be somewhat entertaining to a degree, but it really is a serious purpose of survival. We really want to be here when the fall and breakup of the present world is complete. We want to be those who are the survivors of the fall of America. We don't want to be those that go down with the fall of America or with the fall of the civilizations that you see around the world. So once again, I'm your host, Dr. Alim. This has been Your Immunity Project. Tomorrow night, we're going to do the 19th element, dealing with war and peace issues, geostrategic issues, economic issues, and you don't want to miss it. It's all a part of your and my strategy for survival. So thank you for being with us. Now, Sister Cheryl, do we have any questions with our live audience and on Zoom or any other platform? We'll take a few minutes. We're at about the 1 hour mark, so we can take some time for questions or comments if you have a comment. We want to hear from you.
No questions posted on YouTube so far. Same thing with Facebook.
Okay.
If you're here on the Zoom, if you have a question, you can raise your hand, or you may put it in the chat.
Okay. Well, if it's none there, it's none there. So we want to thank everyone for being with us. And inshallah, we will be with us tomorrow with the 19th element. And of course, on Sunday, I'm with prayer and fasting, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then we come back Monday with Hereafter Questions and Answers. At the same time, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on these same platforms. So stay with us all week long because it's just a flow of information and inspiration coming at you 7 days a week. So thanks for being with us. This has been the Your Immunity Project. I'm your host, signing off, Dr. Alim, with Sister Cheryl Lewis. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam and Dr. Alim. Just a quick announcement. Join us, everyone, on Prayer and Fasting's 60-minute spiritual dojo. We go live on Facebook at 7 a.m. Eastern and 6 a.m. Central on Prayer and Fasting, Chief Abdul Malik Muhammad's Facebook page. And we will close this evening broadcast in prayer. Attention prayer. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful. Praise be to Allah, the Lord of the worlds, the Beneficent, the Merciful, Master of the day of requital. Thee do we serve, and thee do we beseech for help. Guide us on the right path, the path of those upon whom thou hast bestowed favors, not those upon whom wrath is brought down, nor those who go astray. I mean. Thank you, Dr. Lane, for tonight's broadcast.
And thank you, Sister Cheryl.
Assalamu alaikum, Sister Cheryl.